Today is my birthday. I am 41. Today, I am going over the 12 months of 40 and what I've gone through and overcome and how I became me. Month 1, detachment. I grieved the life I didn't even leave yet. I prepared myself for the journey that was coming, and it started with detachment. Because removing myself from my environment prior to leaving that environment allowed me to soak up the information and data that I needed for the next 12 months. Number 2, month 2, remove self from the cycle. I did this by standing face to face with my father and telling him exactly what I see in his life and how I would not be that. I finally, for the very first time in my life, looked at that which I had projected as success for so many years and said, that is not my definition of success. I removed myself from the cycle by allowing myself to see I didn't want that. Month 3, I looked in the mirror and I began to reflect. Now, what do I mean by that? I started to see the world around me, and instead of pulling in their energy, I began to reflect it. Perfect example. I forced someone to understand healing by forcing them to heal. They admitted they healed and that it felt better. Then when I gave them the option of choosing forgiveness again, they legitimately chose no forgiveness. And in that way, I began to reflect back exactly what they said. You choose not to forgive, then I turn my back on you. Month 4, that's when I remembered what love was. Month 5, I left it all behind. Every single last thing. I collected the data, I emptied the well, I crawled out, and then I started to live again. Month 6, I found freedom. Freedom that no one can take from me. Ever. Again. Month 7, I further removed myself from fear, and I learned everything about fear. Again, bled the well dry. I dove down into every single fear I've ever had in my entire life, and I faced every single thing that ever scared me. And I came out and realized none of it actually scared me. It wasn't me that was afraid. It was everybody else's projections upon me. Them telling me how I was from the age of 3. Month 8, I redefined my self-worth. I redefined what I would accept, and I created new boundaries. Boundaries that are, some would consider insanely ridiculous, but for somebody like me, no, it's not. Because it has been proven time and time again that I am love, and love believes all things. So therefore, if you're gonna lie to me, you can't be in my presence. And I realize that because when I love, I believe. Why? That's how I'm programmed. I am love. Love believes all things. Love is patient. Love is kind. So therefore, if you cannot be honest, you cannot be in my presence. That is a boundary. Month 9, recalibrate, test, and observe. Month 10, reflect and release. Month 10 was actually very difficult for me because it was the releasing of the only identity I have ever actually taken on to myself in this lifetime. And that was hard. That wound was festering for many years. And it was one I refused to actually face. But then I did. And in month 11, closed all cycles. And then in month 12, the armor was removed. I recalibrated. I tested. I was rebirthed. I know my worth. I know myself. And my gift to myself this year was actually this necklace right here. My symbol to myself that I fractured went 2 different ways and came back to self as more than just whole, but the line that is infinite in both directions. We have to fracture in order to be able to find the self. That's the only way to get in. Eventually, the acorn shell cracks open, and that which is necessary for the inside of that shell can finally come in and start to nurture it and allow it to actually turn into what it's supposed to. Eventually, the pressure builds up and builds up and builds up and creates a fracture. If I look at my entire life, I can see every single time there was a fracture, I removed myself from that situation, fixed the fracture, and went back in. I found the fracture, the one that led to the core of the problem that kept me going back in. And this last 12 months was me finally going, no, I figured it out. So, now is the perfect time. Even if it's not your birthday, it is the end of a year. The beginning of a new year is soon. 12 months. Starting with attachment. You can't clearly understand that which is going on around you if you are attached to it still. That's why we have I actually don't know what it's called because I'm not in the justice field, but when the lawyer and or prosecutor or whatever is too close to the case, they can't figure it out because you're biased, your personal bias. So learning how to detach allows you to clearly see. So every moment is a chance. Every chance is a free will beacon. Every choice you make. Do you choose to live in fear, or do you choose to live in sovereignty? Your choice. Have a great day, guys.